The morning started like any other Tuesday in Maple Ridge Estates. Except I could feel the neighborhood watching us the way it always did. Through blinds that fluttered when my kids laughed and through phones that suddenly popped up when my wife, Monique, adjusted the car seats in our driveway. I'm Daniel Foster, proud dad of 3 loud, brilliant kids, husband to a woman who reads spreadsheets like gospel, and the new homeowner the HOA never asked for and definitely didn't want. We're black, and from day one, the concerned citizen energy around here moved like a storm front you can smell before it breaks. But that morning the sky broke blue, sirens cut through the cul-de-sac, and 6 black SUVs rolled up fast to the largest house on the bend, the one with the manicured hedges trimmed into little crowns, the one where the self-proclaimed queen lived. Agents in Navy windbreakers poured out like a wave. FBI. A battering ram never needed to kiss the door. A warrant did the talking, and then there they were, hauling out file boxes while Patricia Lawson, HOA president, in fuzzy slippers and a satin sash emblazoned. President shrieked about voluntary contributions and community standards, like the words could shield her from handcuffs. I stood on our porch with my coffee cup and a deadpan stare, and to be honest, part of me wanted to cheer. Another part wanted to rewind 3 months and start the tape where it really began. The moment she decided our family would either join her HOA or be punished until we begged for permission to breathe. We'd moved into 247 Pine Valley Court on a freak technicality from the 1970s plat map that left our lot outside the HOA boundary. It felt like a blessing. No approved mulch color lists, no weekly ruler wars about lawn height. The kids sprinted the first day like they'd been handed their own park. But the morning after the moving truck left, she arrived. Clipboard, smile with teeth but no warmth. That sash. "Welcome," she said, syrupy sweet. "I'm Patricia, the president. We run a very orderly community. Dues are a modest $95 a month. We expect all residents to contribute for the good of the neighborhood." I told her calmly we weren't in her association. Our deed said so. Her smile flickered. "Everyone participates," she said, like a warning dressed as a proverb. "It's how we keep our property values strong and our streets safe." That pause on safe carried a weight I knew too well. I thanked her. I closed the door. And I felt the temperature drop 3 degrees. Day 2, a flyer tucked under my windshield wiper. Unity through compliance. Day 4, a letter. Non-member properties negatively affect market equity. Day 6, the measuring tape. Patricia at the edge of our grass, clicking inches like our lawn might swallow her crown. Monique laughed first. "She's measuring row spacing," she whispered at the kitchen window. "Who does that?" "Patricia does. She had a binder for optimal petunia density and refuse receptacle aesthetics. But the humor died the day she started photographing our kids and posting on the neighborhood. Facebook page, Unsupervised Children Bring Down Values. She meant our children. She meant our black kids on their own lawn. When we took the basketball hoop to the driveway, she wrote that street ball culture was unwelcome. When my son wore his hoodie on a chilly morning, she posted about loitering. She never said the word she wanted to say. She didn't have to. It hung in the spaces between her commas. I invited her over for coffee anyway. Tried to de-escalate like my mother taught me. Kindness first, documentation second. She drank Monique's coffee, praised her banana bread in that tone that said surprisingly good, then told me she believed in standards and the right kind of neighbors keeping to the rules that worked for decades. I said we respected the neighborhood. She nodded like a principal accepting a late note. 2 days later, a cruiser rolled up. Fence height complaint. Deputy took a tape to the pickets, looked embarrassed, apologized. "Third call this week," he said under his breath. "Same caller. He told me to start documenting everything." He didn't have to say why. He looked at my kids and then at me and still didn't say it. The housewarming weekend. She stood across the street with her wine, phone high, filming friends on our patio and muttering to a neighbor about traffic and noise, and this isn't that kind of cul-de-sac. We were a family, eating ribs, music low. She posted anyway. Comments followed. "We must protect our community standards." This used to be quiet. New people need to acclimate. No one tagged us, but everyone knew. Monique's face went still. They're saying it without saying it. I know, I said. Let's give them something else to say. My wife is a forensic accountant. Numbers kneel when she shows up. She started with the publicly posted HOA budget, vague line items like community pride initiatives and heritage beautification. Dues, 95 month from 142 homes, over 13K monthly, 160K yearly. Visible improvements, seasonal marigolds at the entrance, a banner at 4th of July, and a picnic with off-brand hot dogs. She filed a proper request for statements. Silence. Filed again. Patricia replied, non-members cannot request internal documents. Consider joining. Flyers multiplied on our windshield with phrases like, respect our legacy. Monique dug deeper. The HOA wasn't a 501c3, wasn't registered as a nonprofit at all. Money was flowing, but not to bank accounts listed in any public record. She mapped transactions from the HOA online portal to a shell management account, then found disbursements to Lawson Community Services LLC, Patricia's consultancy, trips to Cabo labeled Community Partnership Outreach. A hot tub, neighborhood wellness pilot, ceramic unicorns, no, really, filed as entryway branding figurines. Thousands for a kitchen remodel at HOA headquarters, also known as Patricia's house. Meanwhile, the Facebook posts escalated with safety dog whistles. Some households don't respect what keeps us safe. We need watchfulness. We may need to involve law enforcement. She used proximity to power as a weapon because a phone call is easy. One Saturday, we hosted 6 kids for a backyard birthday. She called the police about a party business operating without a license. Another day, she reported an aggressive animal, meaning our golden retriever Winston, who wouldn't chase a squirrel if it apologized first. Between calls, she positioned herself like a checkpoint, arms crossed, chin up, watching every delivery driver unload packages at our door, and the look said she'd already decided what we were. 2 neighbors, older white couples, avoided eye contact now. Another whispered, hang in there, when Patricia couldn't hear. The only black neighbor on the next street, Ms. Porter, stopped by with a pie and told us she'd been fined twice for unapproved flag colors when she put up a Juneteenth banner. She said, they get real brave behind forms and bylaws. Don't let them make you small. We didn't. Monique built the case file of a lifetime, spreadsheets, bank trails, screenshots of HOA minutes. Patricia uploaded to the county portal, claiming unanimous votes from a board no one had ever seen in person. There it was in black and white. Election of Patricia Lawson as president for life. Annual stipend $60,000, approved unanimously. The names signing those minutes? 3 were people who had sold their homes years ago. One was Jennifer Excellence, which, as a retired federal prosecutor down the block named George Hoffman would later tell us, had been the name of Patricia's childhood doll. You can't make it up. George knocked on our door after we slipped summaries under a few trusted neighbors' mats. I smelled fraud the minute she threatened liens, he said. May I? He read the spreadsheets, whistled, and then started making calls to contacts he still had in federal offices. We packaged everything. Monique's forensic trail, my timeline of harassment and false 911 calls, George's legal memo, and submitted to the State Attorney General, IRS, and FBI's white-collar division. And then we waited like people wait for an oncoming train you've heard before you ever see its light. Patricia escalated. She sent a neighborhood-wide letter on fake state seal letterhead, dues increasing to $150 effective immediately for expanded security and standards enforcement. She threatened wage garnishment, liens, court action, scared the retirees, terrified a young family whose child was recovering from surgery. When they pleaded at the next backyard meeting, Patricia said into a microphone facing our windows, "Sacrifice is the price of safety. If you can't afford to live here, perhaps you should reconsider your options." She looked at our house when she said, "You." A board member, one of the names that always appears but never speaks, cleared his throat and tried to ask about elections. She talked over him. We can't be soft right now. Some households are eroding the culture. When she said culture, a hush fell. Everyone heard it. People shifted. Guilt curdled into discomfort. After that meeting, new flyers appeared, this time on other people's houses too. I watched Patricia's face tighten when someone removed one before she finished her block. The thing about bullies is they need a crowd to nod along. Our little cul-de-sac was learning how not to nod. The cops started getting short with her on calls. Deputy Richards told me they'd opened a misuse of 911 file. Animal control wouldn't come anymore without a supervisor. The fire department logged frivolous complaint or a grill smoke. Meanwhile, Monique found payments labeled community safety enhancement that were actually transfers into a second Lawson LLC, and a contractor invoice for a retaining wall installed behind Patricia's pool but coded as perimeter security, paid in full with HOA debit. George traced the portal vendor to a cousin of Patricia's. It had been going on for 6 years. 400,000 skimmed from neighborhood harmony. We never mentioned race in our complaint. We didn't need to. The pattern read itself. Who got threatened, who got measured, who got filmed, who got warned about culture. It was all in the selective enforcement. The language, the velocity of suspicion aimed only one way. Then came the letter. Final notice. Non-compliant households face immediate legal action, dropped into our mailbox like a gauntlet. She CC'd the county commissioner for intimidation points. She also, God bless her hubris, pasted a fake state registration number under the HOA logo. It took Monique 45 minutes to confirm it belonged to a closed bait shop 2 counties over. We were ready when the door knock came on a Tuesday. FBI, the lead agent said, voice flat as concrete. Warrants for business records, bank accounts, devices. They moved in precise lines. Patricia wailed about outsiders and harassment, pointed at our porch, and shouted that we were undermining a safe community. An agent held up a gloved hand without looking at her and kept moving. Neighbors emerged into sunlight, tentative, curious, relieved. A few clutched robes and coffee cups. One filmed behind a hedge, sending videos to group chats that lit up so fast you could feel the buzz from across the lawn. I stood still and let it wash over me. For months, she called cops on me for dogs and grills and children's voices. Now real badges were at her door and real boxes were coming out. Ledgers, drives, a binder labeled meeting minutes with the kind of perfection only a liar manages. Every vote unanimous, every dissent noted but unnamed. There were secret books in her attic tracking the skim-like trophies. Hot tub, wellness, Cabo, board retreat. Ceramic unicorns, entry branding. Agents took the lot. Patricia kept looking at me like I had planned a coup. "You did this!" she spat, voice shaking. "You people never want to follow the rules." The sunlight seemed to pause. A few neighbors stiffened. Miss Porter folded her arms and stared. I said nothing because I didn't have to. The agents did their job. They didn't come for a race lecture. They came for fraud. But the whole block had already heard it. The mask slipping, the phrase she'd been handing out in coded packets for months now said out loud with teeth bared. Rules for some, perks for her. Fear is policy. She was booked. The investigation widened. The Facebook group that once let her post standards manifestos turned into a long scroll of deleted threads. The 2 neighbors who had always liked her posts suddenly had yard work to do. The treasurer, Quiet Gerald, who'd given off trapped in a bad job energy for years, handed the city an encrypted thumb drive with 5 years of transactions. He'd kept the receipts. Whether out of guilt or because he knew it would end like this, I don't know. There it was. Invoices rubber-stamped by a board she mostly invented. Elections documented with names of folks who moved away a decade ago. The pool lights coded as community aesthetic improvements and reimbursed within 24 hours. Then came the cherry, a modest fishing boat named Community Pride, purchased on the HOA debit card for lake patrols. Maple Ridge is 30 miles from the nearest lake. When the trial came, she reached for the same tired mask. She said she did it for safety and property values. She said outsiders were changing the neighborhood. She said she never targeted anyone. That certain households had difficulty adjusting. The prosecutor, a black woman with a voice like a metronome and a stare that could balance a stack of plates, walked the jury through line items one by one. Wellness, $9,800. Patio spa, she read. Who benefited? Community, Patricia answered thinly. Which members? Silence. Board retreat, 6400 Cabo Resort. Who attended? Board members. Names? Confidential. Jennifer Excellence? The prosecutor asked without blinking. Something inside the courtroom popped like a bubble. Even the judge looked up. And when the prosecutor put our 911 log on the screen, 37 calls originating from Patricia's phone in 3 months, all unfounded, all phrased as possible threat, unknown male, group gathering, suspicious vehicle, always our family, our visitors, our babysitter, our mail carrier. She didn't have to say the word then either. The jury read it. The judge read it. We all read the quiet part written in the call descriptions like watermark. The verdict came fast. Wire fraud, mail fraud, tax evasion, racketeering. The judge had warned her several times about interruptions. Now he read the sentence like a clean cut. 60 months in federal prison, restitution of $487,000 to Maple Ridge homeowners, lifetime prohibition from holding fiduciary roles in any homeowners association. Patricia sobbed, said the neighborhood would fall apart without her, said standards would erode, property values would collapse, chaos would reign. The bailiff had to direct her to the door because she kept looking over her shoulder like there had to be another ending where she was the hero and we were the problem. After the raid, our block did what communities do when fear gets evicted. It breathed. The Facebook group got quiet, then honest. People posted about bake sales and school supplies instead of violations. The interim board, made of volunteers who baked muffins and brought their own folding chairs, invited everyone, including us, to a proper meeting with agendas and votes and questions answered like neighbors, not subjects. They found the courage to admit what they'd let happen. One older man apologized to Ms. Porter for clapping under his breath when her Juneteenth banner came down that first year. Another apologized to my kids for crossing the street when they dribbled a basketball. Monique cried in the pantry where no one could see, not because we won a petty fight, but because we didn't get hurt before it ended. That's a low bar to clear, but it's real. Racism out here wears khaki shorts and a clipboard. It files complaints. It mispronounces your kid's name and then calls the police because your family is loud. It says culture and standards and safe when it means us. It hides money while measuring rose bushes. And when it thinks the crown will never slip, it says the quiet part. The city investigator came by, shook my hand, and thanked Monique for her meticulous documentation. He said in 10 years he'd never seen a paper trail so clean. She forgot what accountability looks like, he said. Happens to petty kings and presidents for life. He asked if I'd join a new ethics committee. I declined, smiled, sent him home with a container of Monique's banana bread. I've learned to pick my assignments. A month later, a for sale sign appeared in Patricia's yard, tall and too eager. The listing called her house a jewel at the heart of a community with strong standards. The comments under the repost in our group showed the shift. Strong kindness, someone wrote. Strong potlucks, another joked. Strong summer movie nights, Monique added. When the truck finally came for Patricia's furniture, my daughter watched from the stoop with Winston's head in her lap. Is she going to a bad place? She asked. She's going to a place where the rules apply to her too, I said. Is that a good place? It's a fair place, I said. Fair is good. That evening, we hosted the first real block party since anyone could remember. A grill on every driveway. Kids with chalk drawing whatever colors they wanted. Ms. Porter brought pound cake and told my youngest to add more sugar to his lemonade stand, then handed him a 10 and took one tiny cup like it was gold. The interim board put out a sign-up sheet for a legitimate election. Real bylaws, real audits, real transparency. The treasurer brought a portable speaker that played Marvin Gaye and then Beyoncé, and nobody posted about bass levels or urban. People laughed. No one measured anything. We learned the name of the delivery driver who always waved. He brought his wife by after his shift. He said he liked the lights. This is how it's supposed to feel, Monique said. I squeezed her hand. Weeks later, a letter came. the last of the restitution plan, the formal notice that the federal liens had been placed against Patricia's assets, including that ridiculous boat. Someone texted a photo of it on a trailer with an auction sticker. Community pride had been crossed out with duct tape. New sign, lot number 23. I saved the photo and didn't say a thing. Some justice you feel by what you don't have to explain. When the new HOA slate took shape, they tried to hand me a seat. I told them I was happy to advise on the ethics policy, but that my children were finally playing without a stopwatch pointed at them, and I planned to sit on my porch and clap. I taught a short workshop on de-escalation and bias recognition at their request. We used Patricia's 911 calls as a case study without her name. When I said, describe what you actually see, not who you assume it is, a few people shifted in their chairs. Good. If the goal is to keep a neighborhood safe, start by keeping your fear from deciding who belongs. Months pass. Fall comes. The maples do what they promised in the name. Turn the ridge into a festival of orange. The new neighbor in Patricia's old house is a nurse who works nights and a husband who plays the piano with the windows open on Sundays. They brought us cookies and a note with both their cell numbers in case we ever need anything, no clipboard attached. On a Tuesday morning that looks a lot like the one when the SUVs first arrived, my son waits for the bus and waves at Deputy Richards as he rolls through. The deputy waves back, 2 fingers from the wheel, relaxed. No sirens, no questions. Just a wave. Before school, my daughter pins a paper crown to the dog and declares Winston President of Maple Ridge. The sash is made of yarn. The platform is naps and treats and letting kids be kids. We vote unanimously by laughter. No minutes are forged. No one calls the police. When I think about that morning, the flash of navy windbreakers, the boxes, the slippers, the sash, I hear something most people missed. It wasn't sirens. It was the sound of a story we didn't pick, finally losing its hold. We didn't move to Maple Ridge to be brave. We moved to give our kids a yard and a block where their names would be known for the right reasons. In the end, that's exactly what we built. Together, and in spite of a woman who thought a crown and a clipboard were the same thing. They never are. Real authority doesn't need a sash. It needs accountability. Real community standards don't hide behind bylaws. They show up as casseroles and hands on moving day and neighbors who say, "We've got you," when someone decides you don't belong. The morning started like any other Tuesday. It ended with a neighborhood remembering how to be one. And if you ask me whether justice came, I'll tell you what Monique told the kids that night when they asked where power lives. Not in a house, she said. Not in a title. Power lives wherever people decide to be fair and mean it. Best day we've had on this street. Best lesson too. And the only crown that matters? A row of maple leaves bowing toward the sun like a congregation. The whole ridge bright, and every single child who lives here running through the light without anyone calling that a threat. If you like this story, hit that like button, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more HOA tales and real-life neighborhood drama each week.